Hey, man.
What's up?
Oh, have you ever heard of Charles Ponzi?
Like the original Ponzi scheme? Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Really? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's the guy it's named after.
I
Charles
would
Ponzi.
hate for something like that to be named after me, you know?
I mean, unless like you thought
Unless
of it.
you did it.
Like if you thought of that, like you'd be pretty proud. Here's a picture of him. I just want to acknowledge how terrifying his eyes look in this.
This is the Music Man. This is straight up, just for a listener, like picture Harold Hill, the Music Man.
Yeah.
I didn't realize is that the time era that the Ponzi scheme was running?
Yeah.
Was like the 30s and 40s? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So this is Charles Ponzi.
Yeah.
He was born in 1882.
Sure.
March 3rd, 1882, in Italy, to parents who were not wealthy, but grandparents who were. So it was like his family was a wealthy, like aristocratical family. And is that how you use that?
Sure.
Aristocratical?
Yeah. No, we can tell how poor you are.
Aristocratical family who like was disgraced.
We aristocrats, we know how to say it. And we know when you're not saying it correctly, you know?
Cool.
Gas stove guy.
So
I don't know what kind of stoves in my kitchen. I have a chef.
I don't know what kind of stoves in my kitchen. I have a microwave. You okay over there? Jeez.
That's all terrible.
Man, you got whipped by that.
Could you cut this and roll the theme song somewhere earlier and just cut this part out? How many years of your life would you give for this podcast to be your full-time job?
In prison?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other day.
Great.
How good is your pirate accent?
Yeah, pretty good.
That was not good.
Things I learned last night.
Charles Ponzi, his family was a wealthy family.
Sure.
But by the time he was born, they weren't anymore. They were kind of disgraced little, falling stars, right?
Okay.
And he hated that. He hated being a poor person. He hated it. And all through his childhood, he was like scheming on ways he could get rich. And it wasn't he never was like an honest, like, I want to get a job that does well. He was like, I want to steal stuff. Like that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Just not and so he goes to college, and in college, instead of like investing in his studies and all this stuff, he pays
a lookalike to go to his classes.
he took the money that his parents were trying to pay for his college and just bought like fancy suits and went and partied with all the rich kids at the school and like lived this fake lifestyle like he was one of them. Even though
he was not going to college though.
No.
So he was
he went to college.
But he wasn't enrolled.
But I think he enrolled, but he never paid anything, so he probably wasn't enrolled.
Sure.
Like he probably quickly was put on probation.
Sure.
But he still like showed up and acted like he was part of it, and then went to the parties, bought the nice clothes. And then after his 4-year vacation ended, he was like, well, now I need to do something, like for real. Like my parents aren't giving me the money anymore. I got to make something of my life. So he goes to the U.S. And he starts working odd jobs in Boston. And he actually can't hold a job because he keeps like screwing it up.
Sure.
He's trying to skim a little off the top of all of his paychecks, or he was a waiter for a little bit and he kept trying to squeeze more money. Like he would raise the bill. And so like go to them and be like, you owe $15 instead of $14. And back then that was huge. And so stuff like that. He actually served a small stint in prison for check fraud during this time because he was he went into his boss's office to ask a question and he saw that his paycheck was there, and so he just changed the paycheck amount, and he got caught and went to prison for it for check fraud for a minute.
Wow.
So sketchy guy, right? After he gets out of prison, he moves to Canada and says, didn't work here, new country. That's kind of his game.
We tried
obviously.
in Canada.
Yeah, we'll try a new. And so while I was in Canada, this was when he met Benko Zerosi, who is someone that he very clearly admired based on what he did later in his life. Because Benko Zerosi, surprise, owned a bank.
What's your name? Benko. Okay. Suspicious. We'll put that in the might be suspicious column.
Hey, what's your name?
Oh,
you okay?
Oh,
you okay over there? Jeez.
That's all terrible.
Man, you got whipped by that.
Yeah, I did.
Jeez. What's your name? Carwasho.
I can't laugh at your jokes right now. I have a swollen lip.
What's a worse thing?
Is it bleeding?
No. Yeah. No, it's not. You're good.
All right. What sucks is it hit that cold sore.
Oof.
That's where I'm like,
Why do you have a cold sore?
Or not the cold sore. Remember I told you I was
know
brushing my
you told me that
teeth?
story. Yeah, just...
We're going to cut the whole thing out. You can make your car wash joke again.
Okay, ready?
Try it.
Hey, what's your name?
Car wash show.
I knew. So
what's your name? PepsiCo.
Oh, like the brand? Did they name you after the brand? I own the brand.
Yes.
I named the brand
His
after
name's
me.
Banco?
Banco. Banco.
Sounds,
Banco.
and I want to draw a picture of what I think he looks like. Very large, mustache, like a monocle, you know? Like a very large Monopoly man guy. You know? Just like a cartoon villain.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if we have pictures of Banco Zarossi.
Yeah, I know. He wiped him from the internet.
No, we don't. Yeah, Banco Zarossi owned a bank in Canada.
Okay.
In an area of Canada where there was a large Italian migrant population. And what he was doing is he was doing real estate loans.
Okay.
And it was a Ponzi scheme before Ponzi schemes had the name Ponzi scheme.
Banco was doing it.
Banco was doing it.
So really, it's a Banco scheme.
Yeah, but it was just a smaller scale than what Ponzi ended up doing. So Banco, if you don't know what a Ponzi scheme is, it's actually Ponzi wasn't even close to the first person to do this. We have record of this going back, depending on who you look at. Some people will tell you like the 1600s, but some people will tell you it goes back to the Bible, because the phrase "robbing Peter to pay Paul." I mean, obviously not the Bible, but shortly after the Bible was written, early like Catholic Europe, or Catholic Rome, Roman Catholic.
I don't know. One of us has a degree.
Yeah. So that's where they think the phrase "robbing Peter to pay Paul" came from, because that was a culture where everything was the disciples, and so they think that the Peter and the Paul are the disciples.
Sure.
I don't know, but so they think the scheme might date back further than. But the earliest recorded Ponzi scheme we have is like the 1600s. But it was the same thing. This guy was selling these real estate loans, and then it wasn't real estate loans, real estate investments. And then people could invest in real estate, and then he would pay people their investment back with whoever the last person was who invested.
Sure.
Pretty common scheme that had been around for a long time. And Charles Ponzi got really good at selling these. And so he was actually moving up in the bank. And I don't think Charles knew it wasn't legal.
Okay, he was just doing what the bank was doing.
Yeah, he was an employee of the bank.
Sure.
He got really good at selling these things.
Yep.
And that was becoming successful, moving up, and eventually became a manager at this bank. And then news kind of broke that these investment opportunities were fraudulent. And so Banco fled the country. And then the bank obviously got shut down. And so then Charles did something he was good at, and he left the country as well. And started looking for other opportunities. So he bounced around a few other jobs until eventually he was like, hey, okay, I think I can do this.
I think I can run my own scheme.
Yeah, I think I can.
I know that me and the bank guy both just got chased out of a country for doing this. But what if I just did that?
Yeah. So he, you know what? He did get arrested.
In Canada?
Yeah, so he got arrested in Canada, served some time.
The Mounties got him?
Yeah, pled guilty.
He's like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, he pled guilty. It actually says that when the police came into the bank and he said, "I'm guilty," and put his wrists out. And so...
No prompting?
Yeah. The police walked in.
And he was like,
hello, we would like
he was
a
like
loan.
helping somebody with a home loan and all that stuff. And then like the just police walk in and he goes, can you give me 1 second? I'll be right back. Hello, fellows.
Hello, I am... Put me in jail.
I'm Guilto.
I'm Guilto. That's my first name, and I'm guilty.
I'm Guilto.
I'm Guilto the guilty.
Guilto the guilt. I did it.
Yeah, so he goes to jail. Spends a couple years in jail for this.
It's me, Guilto. He's Italian.
So he goes to jail or whatever. It comes to the U.S., right?
Sure.
This is the interesting thing. He bounces around a couple jobs, works at a mining camp in Boston, does a couple things, and then he's like, you know what? I need to be rich. Hey, thanks for checking out Things I Learned Last Night. If you're enjoying this, we have a ton of episodes. We've been doing this for a few years now, so make sure you go back, check them out. My current favorite is Elmer McCurdy. It's a story about a guy who was born in 1890, died in 1910, and was buried in 1976, which is just weird. The story is absolutely bonkers. I don't want to give too much away, but it was a super fun one. We loved it. Make sure you check that one out. But again, thanks for checking out Things I Learned Last Night. And so he realizes there's these thing called IRCs, which are international reply coupons. Basically what they are is it's like a promissory note for a stamp.
Yeah.
And what was interesting about it is if you bought one of these IRCs in the US, you were buying it for the value of a US stamp. You could then go sell that in a different country and you could sell it for the value of the stamp in that country. So in theory, if you could buy it at a country whose economy was worse than one economy, you could sell it at another country for a profit because you're selling it for the value of it in each country. And so he realized that the value of, I think it was Israeli IRCs were very low. And so it's like, we can go buy a bunch of those, sell them in the US, and you can make a profit. And so we started going to investors and saying, hey, I got a deal for you. Now, remember, he's good at this sales thing. He
looks like it. He rolls into town, right? Rolls into town with his little briefcase, right? He rolls in on the train, painting a picture. If you can put some like good music behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah. All aboard! We're straight on into Connecticut, right? And so he's rolling into Connecticut, the small town. Rolls in with his briefcase, and he's rolling through. There's an opening number, like dun, 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 dun. It's a waltz, just for your reference. Okay, and so he's walking in, he meets a fine librarian, right? And he's like, Marion, right? And then falls in love with her. Now he's conflicted because he wants to scam her, but he also wants to make out with her, right? And so he's like, I can do both. Which you can, by the way. That's what I'm doing to my fiance right now. And so, scamming her. And, but yeah, he rolls in. He's very good. Smooth with the words. He says, here's a deal. You got to buy however many Israeli IRCs. For how much money are they dealing with? What's the profit margin we're talking?
It's very low. It's very low. But
how many, what is the conversion rate of American IRCs, Israeli IRCs, and then Pepsi points?
So you're talking from Israeli IRCs to American IRCs, you're talking a few cents. From American IRCs to Pepsi points, you're talking 700 million.
Okay.
Points.
Dollars.
Points in dollars.
0.5.
Yeah. So he's selling all these and going to people, but what he's offering, he's offering much more than what is possible.
Okay.
So he's saying if you let me hold it and do this arbitrage and sell it for you, then I can get you a 50% return on your investment in 30 days. Or if you let me hold it for 90 days, I can get you 100% return in 90 days on it. And so he's like, I'm just going to go buy a bunch of these and I'm going to sell them and get a better rate. And that's how this works. And all he was doing, it was a typical Ponzi scheme. So he's going and he's getting a big batch of investors, having a total of, I don't know, $5,000 invested in, and then holding that for 30 days. Meanwhile, he goes and he gets $2,500 invested and goes back to those first people who said, in 30 days, I'll get you 50% of your investment back. And he gives them that part. And then he's skimming his piece off the top. And that's what he's living off of. And he's just growing this operation. And that's what is tough about Ponzi schemes is every time you do this, every iteration you do this, it gets bigger and bigger.
So he's not actually doing any of the...
No, he's not. Yeah, he's not even buying the stamps at all.
Yeah.
If he was, I mean, that's what it's called. It's called arbitrage, which is a totally legal thing.
Right.
It's a
great. Do your thing. It's a movement of money to purchase an item to then sell it. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's not doing any of that.
Yeah,
he's not buying. There's no stamps.
Okay.
He's just pulling it. And so like if he was going to go in that first example, if he brought 5,000 in, said in 30 days I'll get you $2,500, he was going and he found someone to put 5,000 in. He gave that first person 2,500, kept 2,500, and then he would have to go find another 2,500 to give to that next person. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And so he's doing this over and over again, to the point where it's ballooning out, and he actually goes and he gets an office in New York City, and it becomes really popular because he's offering these massive returns, and he's delivering on it. In 30 days, 90 days, people are getting 50%, 100% returns on their investment because he is able to build this reputation that he is kind of like some magic arbitrage monster who can go pull off this
crazy feats. Yeah.
And meanwhile, he's living this crazy, crazy lifestyle.
I guess I just don't see the room. Like where's the room for you taking stuff off the top?
So if he sold 5,000 to the first people,
right?
If they were a 90-day deal, then he would go sell 10K, and then he would give 5K to them, keep 5K.
Yeah, but now he owes them a lot more.
Yeah, now he owes that next person 10K. So he has to go find someone who can pay 10K or 15K, so he can keep 5 and keep 10. That's the problem with the Ponzi scheme, is it always gets bigger. There always has to be someone else in line that can give you more than the last person gave you.
Right. But also you're never going to run out. You're never going to catch up.
Yeah, exactly. The concept is you have to always have another person in line that you can pay the last person in line with, which is why these always end up blowing up.
Yeah, but I don't understand why you would do it.
Because you're not smart. It's a get-rich-quick scheme that's always employed by these people who are like very enamored with money and appearances and stuff, but not
long-term
intelligent.
Okay.
They can't think and realize, oh, hey, eventually I'm going to run out of a way to pay this off.
I honestly thought that we were going to talk about Ponzi schemes and I was going to understand. I was like, oh yeah, that's how they make money. I've understood Ponzi schemes the whole time then. Because I was like,
yeah, it's stupid.
Literally, I've been sitting here going like, forever. I've been like, well, how does that doesn't make any sense at all.
It doesn't. It'll work for a while. And you can live this crazy lifestyle for a while, but the bubble always pops on them. And then they can't get someone to pay the last person. And then people realize, oh, this is a Ponzi scheme. That's what always happens.
But I mean, the only person the person who has to eat it is the last investor.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
So because he was delivering on all these things,
sure,
people were lining up to invest with him. From the middle class to the upper, like the elites in New York, were showing up and being like, "Hey, flip my $1 million in stamps. Let's freaking go."
But they benefit from it.
Well, that's
so really what you want to do is you want to find someone who's running a Ponzi scheme and you want to milk them.
You want to get there early.
Because I mean, they are getting their money doubled.
They are. The tough thing is you don't know when it's going to fall. It's like a Jenga tower. You don't know if you're going to be the last one who gets your brick pulled.
Risk, though. Do you think they all know what's going on? You think they're all like...
They might. The Wall Street execs, like the people who
were smart have got to be like...
They might have known.
Okay.
They might have known.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll do $50 million.
So he bought this office on Wall Street.
That's what I'm saying.
This big office, furnished it. It was bougie as bougie can be. You saw how he was dressed. And he hires the staff, and then he started going crazy with his offering. He was saying, we can get you a 400% return on your investment. And so then he was going and he was asking these massive investments, knowing he's going to have to pay that back and then bring in even bigger ones. And he was, I don't know. I'm conflicted on this part of the story because I feel like he had to know that this wasn't legit. Because obviously he wasn't buying stamps.
He's got to be.
Like he wasn't buying any stamps. But what happened was he went to, hold on, let me figure out where.
But honestly, at any point, he could have just made it legitimate by buying stamps.
We'll get to that. Short answer, not really.
All right.
But we'll get
because
to that.
The margin wasn't there.
Yeah. So, well, yeah.
For what he was promising.
Yeah, that's true. But there's another reason.
Oh, okay.
And we'll get to that. He hired a guy, gosh, I'm trying to figure. Okay. He hired a dude who worked for the Boston Post to chronicle his life. Because he was like, I'm a super successful businessman. Which I want you to follow me around.
I mean, that's the modern day. I mean, it's the hiring a documentarian to follow you around, you know? Is you got to hire a guy with a typewriter to be like,
you have to just.
Which pirates had that though, didn't they?
What?
Captains of ships had like
first mates?
Yeah, not the first mate because that had a real job, but they always had like a scribe or somebody who was following them around.
Interesting.
I mean, Jesus had them.
The disciples?
Yeah.
Hey, okay, random.
Who were writing down?
I was thinking about this the other day.
Great.
How good is your pirate accent?
Yeah, pretty good.
That was not good.
No.
The yarg was good.
Yarg.
Yarg, matey.
Yours is terrible.
Yarg,
matey.
Yarg, matey.
What's accent? What nationality is a pirate?
Like Irish.
Yarg, me matey.
Yarg, matey.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. SpongeBob. Speaking of SpongeBob, holy crap, bro! Holy crap!
Yeah, you got way too excited.
No, this is so funny. I went home. I came home today to my apartment.
Okay.
All the lights are off. It's dark in my apartment, so I am safe to assume that I'm, just there's my cats chilling.
Yeah.
And then I hear something in the other room. I'm like, what is that? Yeah. And I get up, and I didn't know that Reagan had come to my apartment and was on the Peloton.
Oh, God.
And I walk in, and she's on the Peloton just watching SpongeBob while she's Pelotoning. And I was like, what are you doing? I didn't even know she was there.
That's insane. That is insane behavior.
I have the little desk that goes on the bike, so I can set my iPad up and like laptop and get some work done. Professionals use it. It's got a little coffee cup holder on it,
Oh God.
And so does my 7-year-old fiance watching.
Okay, so.
Imagine if it wasn't Ray, though. Imagine it was a stranger in my home on my Peloton.
I was like, oh, sweet, a Peloton.
Oh, shoot.
Watch SpongeBob.
Time to cook up my favorite episode. It's the paint episode, Hey, thanks again for being here for this episode. If you want to help us make more of these, we have a Patreon that you can support us on. We don't make money from this personally. All the money from Patreon goes straight back into our show, helps us to create better episodes, get our better production quality. But more than anything, we're just so glad that you're here. So thank you so much for supporting our show. And if you want early access and be part of our Discord, please consider supporting us on Patreon. But other than that, we just want to say thanks again.
So this guy starts chronicling everything that's happening at Ponzi's business.
Did you say you were thinking about pirate accents the other day? You didn't follow that up, did you? You were like, I was thinking about this the other day. How good's your pirate accent? And then I told my SpongeBob story, and you were like, I got out of that. What are you talking about? You were thinking about that the other day.
I was just curious how good your pirate accent was.
Okay.
Because mine's not great. I recognize that. I want to work on it.
In what context
I want to get a little bit better at it.
Did you try and then you went, that wasn't great. I wonder how good Jaren's is. I need to know. There's a more backstory you're holding back from here.
I was at the bank.
That's not helpful.
Yeah. Let's get to what it really is.
York, matey. No, it was a kids' church thing.
Oh, okay. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's normal. So he hires this dude from the Boston Post, and this dude is kind of chronicling his life.
Okay.
At the time that he was doing this, Ponzi was raking in $250,000 a day.
A day?
Personally, he was taking $250,000 a day. So this guy, this is 1920. So he is living an absolutely bonkers lifestyle. Because he's like blowing through it all.
Do you know the final amount when it comes crashing down?
Yeah.
Okay. Save it for later. Mm-hmm. But I'm in my head. I go, it's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
He's got to be like $100 million in the hole.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he starts chronicling it.
Which is so stupid. Like if you're smart enough to keep track.
Yeah.
Because you got to pay everyone back what you promised them.
Yeah.
So you're obviously keeping track.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, go ahead.
And so the Boston Post guy is following him around, and he starts to realize
what it is.
He asks Charles. He says, "Hey, where are the stamps? Where are all these, the things that you're selling?" And he's like, "Oh, they're, And so this guy from the Boston Post sits down and he starts doing some research. Mm-hmm. And he realizes the amount of investors that Charles Ponzi has taken on.
Sure.
That he would every day from Europe and Israel, all these countries he was now selling these notes from, he would be bringing Titanic-sized ships filled to the brim with these stamps. Every single day. If it were legit. And at that point, the shipping cost of that would be so high that he could not be turning a profit. On top of that, this Boston Post guy did some research and found out that there was only...
Oh, yeah, I guess you couldn't ship them.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about the shipping cost. I'm thinking 2-day air.
2-day air. So is this
the same thing? Is drop shipping a scam?
What do you mean?
Drop shipping is a scam, right?
Like
the whole art of drop shipping is just scamming.
It can be, but not always.
It's just anyway.
Yeah, I don't think I know what you mean.
I mean, there's no need for drop shippers to exist, right? Because all they're doing is they're setting up a website, selling a product, and then routing that sale to another website that fulfills the product.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway, speaking of drop shipping, we have merch.
They're like
TILLN merch. If you go to merch.tilln.com,
I think it's shop. We could set up merch. We can set them both up.
You can drop ship some of our merch.
Yeah.
It's a scam.
I think it's just like a car salesman. It's a middleman.
There's no need for it. Okay.
They market it. They do the sale,
So I was just thinking like the shipping cost of these things. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So this guy also did the research to figure out, okay, let's humor him. Let's say he is shipping this much across the ocean every day. What's out there? How much is out there? And he did the math. He calculated there's 53,000 of these notes that exist.
Total. And he's selling how many of them a day?
Oh, hundreds of thousands. And he's like, there's no way that he's pulling this off. And so the Boston Post guy goes and he writes an article. And he's like, yeah, this Ponzi guy, he's a liar. And just puts out the numbers, puts out what he's found, says that, hey, I've been in the office. There's no stamps anywhere. They're not doing any of this. They're scamming you guys. And then that day, all these people show up at his office to be like, hey, I want to pull my money out. Like, give me my money back. And he doesn't have it.
Yeah.
So he goes to the bank where he's been housing all his money, is a local bank on Hanover Street, ironically, called the Hanover Trust Bank. Makes sense. And he goes in there and he's like, I need to pull $15 million out, and they only had $3 million on hand. And so he goes and he's able to pay back $3 million worth to investors, but he owed significantly more than that.
Right.
And so this is kind of where the bubble burst for him. Everybody realized it was not real, was trying to get their money back. He couldn't get it back. He actually crippled that bank withdrawing too much money at once from them, and they weren't able to bounce back from it. And then
so he put that bank out of business.
He put that bank out of business that he was banking from. And then obviously all of those investors that were there at the time who had money in there, they didn't get their money back. And so he got arrested. He served. Yeah. He got arrested. His charge, ironically, so he had $34 million that was
he
invested.
Owed?
$34 million was invested. And he had paid back like $3 million up from that withdrawal. Somehow he was only given 5 years of prison time, which seems grossly under what he should have.
Seems pretty fair to me.
But not ironically.
Well, how much, again, you get to spend $30 million.
Is it worth 5 years in prison? I mean, he lived a crazy life.
5 years of your life?
Yeah. Yeah, 5 years of your life. I think he did it for, let's see, how long was this?
How many years of your life would you give for this podcast to be your full-time job?
In prison?
Yeah.
Oof. What would you do?
Probably like 20.
No,
I would do 20.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, could I listen to the podcast when I'm in prison?
You would listen to it?
Could I?
That's weird. You would do this.
I would do this, and then the last 20 years of my life I would spend in prison.
Vicariously live off the memory.
Yeah. 100%.
That's crazy. I don't know. Have you ever watched 60 Days In?
No. I want to go in cold. I want to be thrown into prison. No idea what to expect.
Here's what I've learned from
I think if you go in with too many preconceived notions, you end up,
doing dumb stuff.
Yeah, you got to go in blind. You got to forge your own path.
That's what I've noticed. Because I've watched almost every season of 60 Days In.
And they go in and they punch the biggest person. The biggest person could have really helped them.
Every prison's different, though.
Sure.
Like some of them look like the absolute worst experience of your life.
Sure.
Some of them look like
pretty okay.
It's a little uncomfortable, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're all different culturally, like what you can and can't do, what you can and can't say, who you're allowed to be around, who you're allowed to engage. Like the culture is always different.
Sure.
And it can, if you don't pick up on it quickly and fall in line, it's a rough experience for you. I don't know.
Yeah. Out of context, I'm going to clip that. Out of context, were we talking about prisons or church?
That's tough.
Guess in the comments.
Anyways, I don't know. Prison scares the heck out of me, though, after watching it. I don't know, man. I don't know if there's...
All right, so he gave up 5 years of his life. He just spent $30 million, though,
Yeah. So he had about a year of the fun.
You give up your possessions?
Huh?
If you go to prison for 5 years, do you lose all your possessions? I'm sure.
No, I think there's a locker they put it in.
I'm sure you lose a lot of them.
No, I don't think so. Because I think I've heard of like people like they go to prison and they had like a family member take care of their house while they were in.
Oh, okay.
But I think it depends on what you go for. Because I know for him, like he had to pay back as much as he could.
They had to liquidate a lot of stuff.
Liquidated everything, and then he went to prison, so he came out. He had nothing. And so, but what's wild is this is where the Security Exchange Commission came from. This happened, and they were like, we probably should have like something in the government that watches out for stuff like this and covers this stuff. And so it was born from
the SEC.
Yep, this whole.
And then
disaster.
How did they branch into college football?
They realized it was hard to recruit employees.
They were like, we can get some college kids in this.
If we had some kids involved in this, that would help a lot. So he got out of prison after 3 years on good behavior. And so he got out and he went to Florida. And in Florida, he started selling swampland that he didn't own or have any right to sell. And people really quickly were like, hey, aren't you that guy who like went to prison for stealing like $36 million from people for doing something very similar?
He's like, yes, but I've turned my life around.
Yeah, he was
Speaking of turning around.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of the guilty.
It's me, guilto. Arg.
So he gets arrested again.
Again?
Yeah, he got arrested again for this scam. And his wife left him after this one. His wife didn't leave him after the first one.
His wife was like, hold on, we can get through this though.
Yeah, and then he does it again and she's like, okay, you have a problem. And so he goes to prison again. And then he goes to Italy after he gets out of prison this time, where he spent the rest of his life as kind of a vagabond, working odd jobs and being a drunk.
Wow. Telling great tales of the life he lived.
Probably.
Yeah.
Nobody believed him.
Oh, sure.
Nobody in Italy believed him. But yeah, so that's Charles Ponzi. Crazy man. We named this scam after him because he did it to the highest
$30 million.
scale.
What year was that?
1920. They're worth a lot.
Yeah, how much is that now?
Well, I don't know.
$30 million in 1920 is $1.2 billion.
Let's see.
That's my guess.
$445 million. A lot of money.
I was pretty close.
No, you weren't.
Yep. I was like right on the money.
Yeah. Yeah. So Charles Ponzi. Oh, I almost forgot my favorite part about his life. Before his scheme.
You don't get to remember things.
Before his scheme. This is the best part. Before his scheme, he was working in Boston at a mining camp.
Okay.
And there was a nurse on the camp who was involved in an accident, and she got really severe burns on her back and her arms.
Jeez.
And
this is your favorite part?
yeah, Charles Ponzi, this is crazy. I didn't know you could do this. Donated 120 square inches of his skin to the nurse because of her burns, which is insane. I didn't know that was an option. I don't think it is now. I think you're not. I think it's not good. And
how do you?
So she took his skin. That? She took his skin. You slice it, I guess. I don't know. So she took his skin, and it resulted in pleurisy, pleurisy. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Did she die?
Which is like an inflammation thing, and gives you all these like health complications. And so because of that, this is how ruthless the 20s were. Because of that, she wasn't able to perform her job. So they fired Ponzi. They said, you made her worthless to us, so you're fired. Which is so just like, this dude was trying to be a good, that was the one time he tried to be a good person. Which is maybe why he went and did the scheme.
I mean, I gave her the skin off my back. And this is how they repay me.
He's like, I'm going to get that guy to invest. I got it.
That's how villains are born. That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Villains are rich.
Villains are rich. You're right. It checks out. But anyways, yeah, that's Charles Ponzi. We can end now. You can fiddle him off if you want.
Hey, you made it to the end of the episode. You're probably asleep right now because you let it keep playing. But if you aren't asleep, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you get more videos. And also, if you can't wait for more, we've got plenty of other episodes and highlight clips, just some of our funniest parts, the things we enjoy the most. This show is an absolute blast, and I cannot thank you enough for being here.